All right. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Dermot Whelan. You will know his voice from his show with Dave on Today FM, and you will know his face from the posters that are all over the place at the moment because Dermot Whelan Mindful is coming to the INEC Arena on the 16th of March. It's lovely to chat to you, Dermot. How are you keeping?
And you, Carl, yeah, keeping great and enjoying the tour at the moment. I'm up and running. I'm all around the country, and I can't wait to get back to Killarney.
It's strange for you, I think, to be interviewed because I suppose you're so used to interviewing people yourself through the radio. So it must be a strange experience to be on the other end of that.
Um, yeah, I guess I have a lot of empathy in general for interviewers because I've had my share of stinkers over the years. So I can totally relate to when things go wrong or anything like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it can be strange, but I think I'm used to it now.
So tell me about mindful because it was a couple of years ago you have put up a post, I think, and you announced on the show that you were doing mindfulness, and I suppose in a way you were trying to almost break the stigma of men. I suppose particularly meditating and looking at mindfulness as a way of, I suppose, escaping daily life, I suppose, and the stress of it. So how did you start? How did you start getting involved and being more mindful yourself and meditating?
Well, I guess it all started for me about 15 years ago. I was going through a difficult time in terms of nothing crazy going on, just a lot of different things going on. Like many people watching this, we have, work and families and all those things. But I guess I didn't have any stress management tools. So I was just leaning into the old pints and whatever else was around that we tend to do when we're feeling the stresses of life. And yeah, long story short, I had a panic attack on the way to perform at a comedy festival, um, which wasn't particularly funny at the time. But I think I still am the only comedian I know to arrive into the Cat Laughs in Kilkenny in an ambulance. Um, I've seen many leave in ambulances over the years, but never arrive in. So I guess that was a bit of a wake up call for me. But for most people, it isn't something as dramatic as a panic attack or anything radically life changing. I think a lot of us can just feel a bit overwhelmed sometimes and maybe a bit burnt out, a bit frayed around the edges. Maybe we feel like we were more crack in the past and somehow the crack has fizzled out of us. Um, and yeah, so I guess I wanted to find something that was a little bit more proactive for helping me just to calm down and stay in the moment and not spend all my time in the future worrying about stuff that might happen. So I kind of stumbled across meditation, to be honest, and I thought in the past it was for hippies who just had dream catchers and ate hummus all day. um, but I quickly realized it was a lot of really, really good science, and I was wondering why I had never heard about this kind of stuff before, really, or certainly it was never presented to me in a way that I could relate to. So, I guess after years of practicing it and feeling the benefits, I wanted to share the techniques with people initially just close to me. So I did a teacher training course in the States, and then I started teaching it. Then I started going into companies, and I wrote my book, and now I guess the stage version is it's the stage version of the book in that it kind of uses comedy to share the techniques. I tell my own story. There's kind of a funny TED talk in there that explains all the cool science around it and why it works, and then we try a few of the techniques there in the theater, and it really is amazing. I know it sounds strange for a lot of people, the idea of mixing comedy and meditation, but actually they're a really good partnership and it really, really works. And it's just amazing to see hundreds of people laughing their heads off one minute, and then the next they're just sitting there with smiles on their faces for different reasons.
And do you find, I suppose, there's a stigma within, I think, mainly men in Ireland, especially when it comes to talking about your mental health?
Yeah, I think we're getting better, and I think the term mental health is definitely something, the one that's we hear a lot. But I guess there's still a bit of a block for a lot of blokes in particular, because I think the whole sort of spiritual wellness world is very much set up and marketed at women. Even the artwork around it, if any of the previous, wellness retreats I would have been to over the years were like 99% women. There might be one guy there, and chances are he was either lost or working at the event. So I know what it's like to be that lone guy at those things. And I just wondered, I was getting a bit disillusioned as to, why is none of this aimed at us? We have nervous systems, we get anxious as well. But I guess there's an expectation on men a lot of the time to kind of suck it up, and just put the head down and get on with it now, and sure, have a pint, you be grand, but that doesn't always work. And this is why, it's more important than ever that men, have an outlet for this stuff, and that I think we tend to hit crisis point, before we would talk about it or reach out for help. So the whole point of the show is, and what I love is seeing there's always so many men there, and it's brilliant, because I want to present this information to them. That's these techniques are used by the military, they're used by law enforcement, they're used by their favorite athletes. So why don't we know this? Why is it just the monks in the monastery or the yogi in the cave or the people I just mentioned who get access to this stuff? We all need it, so I try and present it in particular to men in a way that's funny and that they can relate to, because I think a lot of the time this kind of information is, presented to you usually by someone you wouldn't go for a pint with. So I think it's important they hear it from someone who, is just very normal, who just experienced the same things, in life. And, there's no expectation that you got to change the way you act or the way you dress or the way you talk. You don't suddenly have to go and shave your head and live in an ashram in India or somewhere. You can just learn a few techniques that you can use while you're sitting in the cab of a digger, or sitting in your car, or at your desk, or sitting on your couch at home, that you could do during an ad break of your favorite TV show. So, I'm all about making this stuff accessible and usable, and not something else that you have to add into your schedule that's going to take up all your day.
And tell me about the shows then, because you're a massive Irish tour this year. So how have they been going? I'd say you're well warmed up anyway for Killarney next week.
I am. That's not to say that it's run of the mill going to Killarney. I can't wait to get down there. I always have such an amazing time in not just in Killarney, but in Kerry in general. It's always such a welcoming place. The crowds are always really special. I've done a few Dermot and Dave shows down in the INEC over the last few years, and yeah, we've just always loved it. So to bring back this show, which is still comedy, but I guess it's comedy with a difference. At a time when I think a lot of people are feeling pressure after COVID. It's like we learned nothing from COVID. People are more stressed out than ever. So much for this, we're all just going to walk our dogs, and for a living and work 2 days a week. Well, our working scenarios might have changed, but everyone's still quite stressed. So I can't wait to bring this stuff, down to Killarney and to the INEC. And I'm just really enjoying being on the road at the moment. It's great to meet all the people, and I love to hang around after the shows and sign books and take pictures and actually get to hear people's stories, as to what brought them to the show in the first place. So that's been really nice. So I can't wait to meet everybody in Killarney.
Absolutely. And I think maybe the shows, I think, is perfectly timed in terms of it is post-COVID, but a lot of people went from 0 to 100 very quickly then straight after it. So, I mean, it's a great time for people to actually realize that you can actually slow yourself down and not work as hard.
Yeah. And, I guess, we're always going to be quite busy. I think it's just the way our society is set up. It's very hard to just suddenly go, hey, I'm only doing 50% of what I've been doing all my life. But what I guess what the techniques that I've learned over the years and that I share in the show do for us is that they can at least help us to be more present for the times when we're not mad busy and not working, or if we are working, that we're actually more connected to our work and we're not wishing we were somewhere else, And I think, for me, it was an important lesson that I learned, that what meditation gave me was the ability to be actually there. So if I'm with my kids, I'm with my kids. If I'm at work, I'm enjoying work, and I'm as, creative as I can be there. I think for a lot of people, particularly at the moment, if we're at home and we're with our families, half of our brain is still at work. Or if we're at work, we're dreaming about things that have nothing to do with it, or we're just getting overwhelmed by all the information coming at us. So it's rather than reinventing ourselves, I think it's a great opportunity to just really be present for the time that's available to us, and more importantly, the people that we actually care about. Because sometimes we can spend all day with people we could take our leave, and then when we actually get to hang around with the people we really care about, half our brain isn't available for them, or we're feeling like we're elsewhere, or we're still stuck in our emails.
Absolutely. Well, Dermot, it's great to chat to you. And there's a few tickets on sale above this video. Where is it here? So if you want to pick up a few tickets to Dermot Whelan's Mindful, which takes place in the INEC Arena on the 16th of March, the day before Paddy's. So you're guaranteed to have a good crowd that night.
Yeah, I think it's going to be great. They can feel so, so smug on Paddy's Day when they're absolutely tearing the arse out of it. They can go, well, I was meditating last night and I'm drinking mindfully today.
It's all about balance. That's the balance there now.
Exactly. It's all about balance. And, I get such a great mix of people at my shows as well. As we talked about, there's lots of men, lots of women, of course, but I get, groups of women coming together, bunches of lads, parents with their teenagers, so a great mix of people and all ages. So if there's someone in your life you're thinking maybe is a bit of a stress bunny, and maybe they could be up for a laugh and learning a few simple techniques, then grab them and bring them along to the show. We'll have a laugh.
Absolutely. Dermot, lovely to chat to you, and we'll see you down in Killarney next week. Cheers.
You too, Carl. Thanks, man.